We are going to be listening to a channel that you see on the screen right now. But before we do that, I've got a question for you. Why do you think people who are rich, not all of them, but those who are gurus, those that people admire, follow, attend their events, whatever, why do you think they speak bad about Bitcoin? Just answer me in the comments. At the end of the video or before the video ends, I will tell you why I believe these people are actually speaking bad about Bitcoin. In the meantime, let's listen to this channel. First of all, the channel is called Rajet Sony, and then the name of the Bitcoin, what am I saying? The Bitcoin separates money from state. He's going to tell us what is the importance of Bitcoin. Why is Bitcoin so important? And he's going to compare it against other currencies that we already know, US dollars, all these currencies. Let's take it a listen. Let's dive in and let's just listen what he's going to tell us. This is very important. While you are doing that, please like, subscribe, and do what you have to do. Take me to 500 likes. I would appreciate that. Let's get into it. Let's listen.
Governments and banks feel threatened by Bitcoin because they can no longer control how we spend our money. In this video, I want to go through why Bitcoin being neutral money is so important and why you shouldn't ignore this asset. Bitcoin is competing with dollars, real estate, stocks, bonds, all the assets that we have in the world today as a way to store value. There are so many people who use real estate to store value for the future because the purchase of real estate is incentivized using dollars by governments. The people who buy real estate can use real estate depreciation to offset their income and decrease the taxes that they have to pay. But these tax benefits...
2 points, first of all. One says that people are ignoring Bitcoin, and you shouldn't ignore Bitcoin. And there's a reason why, all right? Now, he's going to explain all of that. But the second point that he speaks about is Bitcoin, it's actually in competition, or it's at the level of competition with these currencies that he has mentioned. That means Bitcoin, it's no longer one of those currencies that people undermine. Everybody is looking at Bitcoin right now because every investor or any person who goes to maybe look for a place to invest, they find Bitcoin over there. That means if there are currencies for investing, Bitcoin will be there. It's not only going, they are not only going to look at some known currencies like your US dollars, they also look at Bitcoin, which makes it to be in competition. All right? That's why you must not ignore it.
Aren't free. They come at the expense of anyone who saves in the currency that the government issues. Governments can spend recklessly if they want to because every currency can be created at will. What governments do is they try to steer the world into a certain direction by using tax benefits and by creating more money and by offering certain incentives. So they can get you to buy more houses than you need because they'll offer you a benefit of not having to pay taxes and being able to accumulate more wealth over time. This directly contributes to the wealth gap that we see today, as more people buy real estate as an investment because they know that the dollar will be continuing to lose value forever. The people who want to buy houses to live in are at a disadvantage. They're competing with investors. And we're seeing this get worse over time.
Now, the problem is, guys, you see, you've got a dollar here, and you've got investors, and then you've got a person or a family that wants to buy a property. This is in the context of real estate. What becomes a problem is when the rand, not the rand, okay, any currency, the rand, but mostly the US dollars. Let's use US dollars because we all derived from that. Every time when we look at our currencies, we look at the dollar. So when the dollar loses its value, what happens is investors, especially those who actually are all over the place when it comes to investing, they run to real estate in the context of real estate. When they get to the real estate industry, they buy properties. But when they buy properties, they don't buy properties maybe to stay in them. They buy properties for income. they buy properties for profit, they buy properties for business. And then the person who's supposed to be buying the home that they want, that they wish to have for their family, for whatever reason, right? But mostly for their families, they can't get hold of that property that they like because there is competition with investors. You end up getting, or you end up buying something that you don't like. Why? Because of the competition, and also as a result of USD or US dollars actually losing value. Investors, they run around when things are not going in a certain currency. That's why some of them, they end up going to Bitcoin. All right, that's why Bitcoin is actually important. So it creates a problem in real estate. If the dollar loses value, it affects the real estate for people who wants to buy properties for their family.
More and more institutions are buying single-family homes, and they're using these houses as a business. They're using them to generate cash flows. Today, governments and banks can work together to create more money and add it to the economy. What Bitcoin does is it separates money from state.
Bitcoin separates money from states. I can even use the word, it gives you not 100%, but it gives you partially freedom because you control it. Nobody controls it on your behalf, you control it.
Governments borrow as much money as they want to pay for certain agendas. They can give people tax benefits for doing things that they want them to do. Bitcoin is neutral money that directly competes with dollars. What I mean by this is that nobody can stop you from using your Bitcoin how you want to. There's no central authority that can stop people from being able to spend Bitcoin that's in their wallet. The Bitcoin network is controlled by a network of thousands of computers that are all around the world. On the other hand, the current financial system is controlled by a single computer that's in the US.
Bitcoin is controlled by thousands of computers around the world. In other words, it's not like controlled by somebody somewhere sitting, controlling where it goes, controlling you what to pay, how much to pay at whatever rate. Okay, because it's thousands of computers. But with the current currencies, which is US dollars, the normal ones, the main one also, the US dollars, is controlled by one computer. That means, or that translates to, any person, that translates to, they can do whatever they want, control it the way they want it. They can control how much you pay. They can control how much you get. They can do it. They can even control the way you think. They can make your life miserable if they want, because it's controlled at one place, one person somewhere. I don't know whether it's a person or people, but whatever it is, it's in one computer controlling everyone around the world, which is bad, if you ask me.
The Federal Reserve has so much power over us, and most people don't even realize it. The Federal Reserve can print money out of thin air. We have to work for this money, while there's a group of people in the US that can just print it. They can create it out of thin air. They can then use this money to let the US government spend recklessly. Right now, the state and money are one entity. Governments own and control all of the money that we use today. We use dollars, governments control them. We use yuan, governments control them. Whoever issues the money gets to take advantage of everyone else. So in this case, we can see that the US government has certain agendas that it wants to follow, certain things that it wants to complete. It can just borrow money and create it out of thin air and spend that money into the economy. On the other hand, we have to work 60 to 80 hours a week to earn the same money. The people who save in dollars are always...
It is all about control, ladies and gentlemen. Control, control, control. They want to control, control, control. And the one currency, which is the US dollars that we're depending on in every currency, they can, it's all about control. If you think that people are fighting for the economy for nothing, the worldly economy for nothing, it's all about control, guys. All right. Now, what he's explaining now is they can print money and then do with it whatever they want, or spend it in ways that you won't agree, but they will spend it in that way, and there's nothing you can do because they can print it. But one thing I know is that they will never, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I will say it anyway. They will never print money and give it to their friends. For example, print maybe a lot of money and give it to their families, their friends, their whatever, because that will be illegal and it will be noticed very quickly. I believe what he's explaining here, maybe I'm wrong again, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, I'm just stating my opinion based on what he says, okay? I believe that what they would do is to print enough money and make you and me go and work for it. And then we get a salary out of it. And then, okay, before then, they will create these things, the industries, everything like that, so that you can go and work there. And when you work there, they give you the salary that they are generating out of the product or whatever service they are doing. And then you are going to actually get that from, you are going to give it back to them in a form of tax, in a form of bonds, in a form of all these things that are out there. So what I'm saying is, it's not that easy that for them they can just print money and give it to everyone. No, they will have, it doesn't happen like that. How they will do it is to print it, and after printing it, create all these things, the industries, whatever, for themselves, so that you go and work there. And when you work there, you generate whatever amount that you generate, and then they get it, they take a chunk of it, they give you a piece of it, and then out of that, then the government will tax you from that. So they are eating inside of these things, using you and me to work and do what? It's a system. You get my point?
Always going to be at a financial disadvantage. The financially literate buy stocks and real estate because they know for a fact that creating more companies or building more houses is much more difficult than issuing more dollars. The people who are saving in dollars are getting poorer over time, while the people who save in real estate are getting richer. The income that people are earning from their jobs is decreasing in purchasing power every single year because of inflation. Going on a Bitcoin standard is the only way to decrease the wealth gap that we experience today. Governments can borrow as much money as they want to, and they can spend it into the economy. We use this money that they borrow and create more of as a savings vehicle. On a Bitcoin standard, money can't be created out of thin air, because if you're paying someone in Bitcoin, they're going to want actual Bitcoin. They're not going to want some IOU. They're not going to want some fake version of Bitcoin, because that's not what has value. And we can confirm whether or not.
That is a good point for you guys who are still new in Bitcoin. When you send somebody Bitcoin, you are not going to send them money. That means when a person comes to you and say to you, send me money in Bitcoin. So in other words, you cannot send money as a Bitcoin. When you send somebody Bitcoin, you send them Bitcoin, not money. Okay? And then you are going to change that thing into your currency, which is rand, whatever, and then you withdraw that money. That's why when you buy Bitcoin, when you withdraw it, you have to take the process of taking it out as a Bitcoin, translating it or transferring it or changing it or doing an exchange and turn it into your currency. That's why on We Share Abundance, actually, that's what happens. You generate money in their website, and then you take that money and then you exchange it to your currency and then you withdraw it. That's a good point there.
Bitcoin is real by accepting it into our wallets. The Bitcoin network does all of this for us. The fact that dollars can be created at will has changed everything. People can take on mortgages to buy houses that they can't afford, and they can pay those houses off over 30 years. What this does is it brings demand from the future into the present, and it increases prices for everything. Instead of having to save money for a house, what people can do is they can buy that house today, and they can make small payments over the next 30 years. This means they no longer have to save. They don't have to take money out of the economy and decrease demand for other goods. They can maintain a car that they can't afford or go on vacations every year when they can't really pay for them. The entire system is built on bringing future consumption into the present. And this is what Bitcoin solves. Bitcoin gets rid of this. It separates money from state. It's neutral money that nobody can control, nobody can stop. Nobody can inflate the supply to stop you from being able to save in Bitcoin. I've actually watched politicians in Canada say that the money in savings accounts shouldn't be there. It should be used to stimulate the economy. And that's exactly what they're doing. When governments borrow money and add it to the economy, all they're doing is they're taking that money from anyone who's saving for the future and they're spending it today. They're decreasing the value of any savings that you keep in your bank account by creating more money. Could you?
Actually, when it comes to money, you will hear a lot of politicians saying, especially if they are asked a question about doing certain projects, certain things, they will say to us, yeah, there is no money, the country does not have money. There is nothing like that, guys. There is nothing like that. Have you ever asked somebody, or somebody asking you money, and then not because you don't have it, but you don't want to give it to them? Then you say to them, I don't have it, even though you have it. That's what they do sometimes for politicians. There was a guy who was talking in one of the speeches in Parliament when they were debating and stuff like that. He said, don't say the country does not have money. The country does have money. Okay? It's just that maybe you are using it for something else. Maybe for benefit or benefit some people. I don't know. I'm just saying, guys. If a person says, I don't have money, chances are, it's not like they don't have money. They are just trying to avoid you and avoid to always ask the same question. Please borrow me, man. Please borrow me. So if you say I don't have it, you will never come back again. Because if they come back again, you say the same thing. And then they end up thinking that the country does not have money. Which I don't think that's possible, actually. I don't think there's a... Because if you say I don't have money, it means you are total, it's empty, total, nothing. And remember, he explained, this guy, that the governments, they make money out of borrowing. I think it's banks or anybody. They are making money out of borrowing. So when they borrow money, even maybe the government, that's what they do. If they borrow money, that's how they make money. I'm just thinking, out of the box and stuff like that.
Imagine a world where banks can't create money out of thin air anymore. I think things would get a lot cheaper. If you can't borrow money for a house over the next 30 years and then pay it back in small increments, it means that you can't bring your future desires, your future demands into the present. The majority of the economic growth we have today is borrowed from the future. For example, Canada's economy relies so heavily on real estate that if real estate stopped being an investment, the entire system would probably collapse. Banks are able to create money out of thin air, and anyone who can borrow that money is able to use it to buy real goods. They're using a form of money that's basically just an entry in a book that one group controls, and they're using this to buy actual goods in the real world. If a real estate investor can come up with a 20% down payment, they can automatically start competing with anyone who wants to buy a house to live in. When there's more competition, prices rise, demand goes up, supply decreases, fewer and fewer people are willing to sell their houses.
Simple economic thing, that is just common sense, or you can think about it even though you studied it, maybe you remember it, When it comes to demand, you've seen some prices going up and all of that, complaining. You see, when it comes to supply and demand, when the demand or when more people buy a product, the people who are selling the product will raise the prices. When the people who buy the product become less, they actually do what? They decrease. All right? So that means, obviously, if more people buy, it means you make more money and then you increase, right, the price. But if they become less, and then you do what? You decrease, because there are no people who are buying. So you are trying to attract, or you are trying to consolidate those who are already buying, and maybe attract the others with the cheaper prices. Just like in the real estate. If a property is in demand, a lot of people want it, the price goes up. And if people are not buying, if it's a buyer's market, a lot of people raise prices. If it's not a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, usually they decrease their prices because they want people to buy their properties quickly. Okay, I've actually seen in Man Lane, usually there are properties, especially those flats. There are flats there in Man Lane. I think Man Lane, Maine. Their properties, they go up to, there was a one that was 1.5 or something like the 1 million, 1.5 million. So when I checked, actually, any property that is around that area at that time, when I was looking at it, any property that was above 2 million, it was never going to sell unless you are lucky. Why? Because in that area, a property cannot be above 2 million. It has to be below that. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. Now, I want to share, guys, with you on why I think actually rich people want you to ignore Bitcoin. It's because chances are they are investing already. They are making money out of it already. And they are trying to make you to forget it. They are trying to make you to push it away and say, this thing, whatever, while they are busy making money. So that when Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or blockchain, whatever it is, becomes the currency, they're already eating and you come behind. They want to leverage over you. They want to take advantage of you. And you are sitting there, Bitcoin, you're not buying Bitcoin, you're not doing anything. You are busy criticizing based on what they are saying. Be a independent thinker. Go and do your own research before you listen to these guys. These guys, they are criticizing because they want you to stay away from it. That's how they get to us. I was actually in South Africa. There is this thing that was happening with the parliament. There was a debate, presidency, GNU, and all these things that were happening. There was a time where the Reserve Bank, the Reserve Bank governor, which is Khanyago, they announced that they are not going to increase the repo rate and also decrease it, right? But they will keep it at the same place. The reason for that was because two of the members of the, what is it called? I forgot it. I will put it on the screen, what it's called. Two of the members, they said to them, no, we must not increase it. Now, for that reason, they had to keep it in the same level, okay? And people don't know that. They didn't notice that, even if they had. But because of the parliamentary things and all of that, people didn't know that. Now, people who are speculating, they say that maybe in the coming, maybe next year or maybe coming months, when they actually announce it, they may decrease it. They may reduce the repo rate. And people were not aware of that. Well, the good thing was they kept it at the same place. If they decrease it, that is going to be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, do what you have to do. 500 likes, please, guys. Don't disappoint me. 500 likes. Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day. Sharp, bafethu.